Let's cut through the nonsense. The modern world tells you to be kind, gentle, agreeable, and then it turns around and rewards the cold, dominant, unapologetically assertive men who impose their will. You want respect? You want authority? You want people to move when you speak, to obey your boundaries, to follow your lead. Then you need to understand this one rule of real power. It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. Machiavelli didn't write that to sound edgy. He wrote it because he understood something that weak men refuse to accept. Power is not built through affection. It's built through control. Fear is clarity. Fear makes people behave. Fear forces respect, even when emotions are involved. Love? It's soft. It's unstable. It changes. It gets taken for granted. But fear? Fear is reliable. Now before you cry about how fear sounds harsh, understand this. I'm not telling you to be cruel. I'm not telling you to bully or belittle people. I'm telling you to command presence, authority, and respect, even if that means being disliked. Because guess what? Love is optional. Respect is not. This video is for the men who are tired of being overlooked, tired of being the nice guy who finishes last, tired of being passive, agreeable, and irrelevant. If you want power real, unapologetic, undeniable power, you're going to have to rewire your brain. You need to stop chasing love and start earning fear. And that doesn't mean becoming a monster. It means becoming a man no one wants to cross. Step 1. Build the frame of a man who can't be ignored. Let's make something clear. You don't get feared just by talking tough. Fear starts with how you carry yourself. Your energy enters the room before you say a damn word. Your body, your posture, your eye contact, your tone. If you walk like a coward, mumble like a child, and glance around like a squirrel, no one is going to fear you. They're going to forget you even exist. So fix it. Stand up straight, shoulders back, chin high. Train your voice to be low, calm, and deliberate. No nervous laughter, no filler words, no fidgeting. Look people in the eye and don't look away unless you decide to. These are primal cues. Whether they admit it or not, people react to dominance. We've been trained to sniff it out and to yield to it. You don't need to shout. You don't need to act tough. You just need to hold your ground like a man who doesn't fear anyone. Fear starts in the subconscious. If people feel like you can't be moved, they won't try. Step 2. Master control over your emotions. You want to be feared? Start here. Control yourself before you try to control others. The weak man is a slave to his emotions. He gets angry easily. He reacts when provoked. He needs validation. He's insecure. And worst of all, he's predictable. You want to intimidate people? Be unpredictable. Be calm when they expect you to lose it. Be silent when they expect you to argue. Walk away when they try to drag you into drama. The most dangerous man in any room is the one who doesn't flinch, the one who could explode but chooses not to. This is where fear is born, not in loud threats, but in cold silence, not in anger, but in indifference. If you can master your emotional impulses, not suppress them, but dominate them, people will feel it. They'll sense that you're not like other men. You're composed, controlled, calculated. You're not playing by the emotional rules of the herd. You're playing to win. Step 3. Boundaries are power. You want people to respect you? You want to be feared? Then understand this. Boundaries are your battlefield. Weak men let people step over them. Strong men draw the line, and when it's crossed, they act. Not with whining, not with begging, with consequence. If you don't enforce your boundaries, You don't have boundaries. You have suggestions. And no one fears a man who speaks in suggestions. Start simple. Stop letting people talk to you however they want. If someone disrespects you in public, you don't laugh it off. You don't let it slide. You handle it immediately and directly. Speak clearly. No emotion. No sarcasm. Say the truth with a steel tone. Don't talk to me like that again. That doesn't work for me. If you cross that line again, I'm done. And if they do it again, follow through. Here's where most men fail. They bluff. They make threats and never act. And after that, no one takes them seriously. You teach people how to treat you. Every time you allow disrespect, you're teaching them that you're spineless. That ends now. Because here's the truth. Respect is earned through discomfort. When people know you're willing to walk away, cut them off, or make things difficult, that's when they start watching their mouth. That's when they start checking themselves before they approach you. Your boundaries are your fortress. Keep them high and defend them without hesitation. Step 4. Stop explaining yourself. One of the biggest mistakes men make is over-explaining. They feel guilty for saying no. They feel like they need to justify every move, every decision, every boundary they set. Stop. You don't owe explanations to people who haven't earned your respect. You said no? Good. Let it be no. You made a decision? Good. Stand on it. Someone doesn't like it? Let them cry. Men who are feared don't explain. They command. They decide. And they let their actions speak louder than 1,000 justifications. You want to know why this matters? Because when you explain yourself too much, you reveal your need for approval, and that's blood in the water. It tells people you can be guilt-tripped. You can be manipulated. You can be talked out of your frame. That's weakness, and weakness kills respect. Powerful men speak in short, direct sentences. They don't apologize for taking up space. They don't shrink themselves to make others comfortable. You say what needs to be said, then you move on. You let the silence hang. You let your energy speak. Every time you resist the urge to explain, you grow stronger. Every time you speak directly, without softening your words, you become more dangerous. Step 5. Never be too available. Let's make this one brutally clear. Men who are always available get taken for granted. Period. If people know they can call you anytime and you'll drop everything, they won't respect you, they'll use you. Being constantly available signals low value. It screams desperation. It says, I have nothing important going on, so I'll prioritize you. You want to be feared? Start becoming scarce. Scarcity breeds value. Mystery breeds fear. People should wonder what you're up to. They should question whether you'll answer the phone, show up, or agree to meet. And when you do show up, make it count. Make your presence heavy. You're not some Labrador wagging your tail for attention. You're a lion. You move with purpose. And if they want your time, they need to earn it. Stop responding instantly to messages. Stop being the nice guy who always says yes. Stop rearranging your life to be liked. The moment people realize you don't need them, that's the moment they start chasing your respect. And, more importantly, that's the moment they start fearing what happens if they lose access to you. Step 6. Build a reputation of ruthless standards. This is where the game changes. Most men will compromise their standards the moment they feel pressure. A little affection, a little praise, and they fold. But not you. If you want to be feared, your standards have to be carved in stone. And more importantly, they need to be non-negotiable. You don't associate with people who disrespect you. You don't tolerate lies, games, or weakness. You don't bend your values to keep peace. You cut fast, you cut clean, and you don't explain. When people realize that even one strike can end their access to you, they straighten up real fast. Why? Because now, they're not dealing with some emotionally dependent child who just wants to be loved. They're dealing with a man who knows exactly what he wants, and more importantly, they know he'll walk away if he doesn't get it. This is power, not controlling others with force, but making your presence so valuable and your standards so sharp that people self-correct around you. This is how kings operate. They don't chase, they don't beg, they don't negotiate with disrespect. They live by principle, and people either rise to their level or they get cut. Step 7. Embrace the role of the villain. Here's the harsh truth you've been avoiding. You can't be a leader and be liked by everyone. You can't be feared and universally accepted. You want real power? You need to accept that you will be the villain in someone's story. Good. Let them hate you. The weak fear being misunderstood. They fear judgment. They fear being painted as the bad guy. But here's the truth: the man who stands for something will always offend the spineless. You enforce boundaries. You're toxic. You say no. You're selfish. You don't tolerate drama. You're cold. Let them talk. Let them lie. Let them smear. You're not here to be liked. You're here to win. And winning comes with enemies. People fear those they can't control. And when you no longer care about being loved, you become untouchable. This doesn't mean you become heartless. It means you live on your terms unapologetically, relentlessly, and with zero concern for the noise. Because the world doesn't belong to the sweet and agreeable. It belongs to the man who walks into a room and makes everyone sit up straighter. The man who speaks rarely, but commands completely. The man who's not loved by all but respected by those who matter. Step 8. Dominate in silence. Powerful men don't talk too much. They don't advertise their plans. They don't run their mouth to feel important. They move in silence. They execute. And they let their results speak for them. Let me make something brutally clear. When you talk too much, you reveal your hand. You give away leverage. You expose your insecurities. You signal weakness. You want to be feared? Learn to keep people guessing. Say less than necessary. Make silence your weapon. Let others scramble to fill the gaps while you observe, calculate, and strike only when it matters. When you're silent, people start writing their own stories in their heads. They overthink. They doubt. They wonder what you know, what you're planning, and what you'll do next. That is power. Because uncertainty breeds fear. When people can't predict you, they can't control you. And when they can't control you, they start respecting you out of self-preservation. This applies everywhere. At work, in your relationships, with your friends. Silence makes people lean in. It makes them anxious. It forces them to respect your presence. And here's the key: when you do speak, make it count. Speak clearly. Speak with purpose. Speak like a man who only opens his mouth when something needs to be done. If your words aren't creating movement, they're creating noise. Choose movement. Step 9. Punish disrespect with distance. Not arguments, not lectures, not passive-aggressive games. Distance. You don't need to raise your voice to show power. The most terrifying punishment a man can deliver is indifference. When you remove your attention, your time, your energy, people feel it in their bones. This is psychological warfare. You don't need to explode. You just remove access. Quietly, fully, permanently. Let people feel your absence. Let them sit in the silence. Let them realize they lost something valuable because they chose to play games. Most men tolerate disrespect because they don't want to start over. They're afraid of being alone. They want to be loved so badly, they'll swallow any insult just to stay close. That's weakness, and weakness has no place in a man seeking power. Respect is non-negotiable. The moment someone crosses the line, you walk. Not with drama, not with noise, with calm, unshakable certainty. Because when you tolerate disrespect once, you invite it twice. Your attention is currency. Spend it wisely. And when someone treats it like it's cheap, cut them off. Not to teach them a lesson, but because your standard is higher than their presence allows. And if they come crawling back, good. Make them work, make them prove, make them bleed for the access they lost. Or don't let them back in at all. That's how fear is earned. Through consequences, through standards, through actions, not words. Step 10. Win without needing credit. This one is for the ego. Every man wants recognition, wants the applause, wants the pat on the back for all the work he's done. But the man who truly holds power, he doesn't need credit. He doesn't need the spotlight. He doesn't chase validation. Because he knows this simple truth. Power isn't in being seen. Power is in being felt. When you move strategically, when you influence outcomes, when your fingerprints are all over the result without anyone realizing you touched it, that's real power. You don't need people to praise you. You need them to depend on you. You need them to fear what would happen if you weren't in the picture. That's how you become indispensable. And here's the twist. The man who stops needing credit becomes the one people credit anyway. Because he doesn't chase approval, people start to offer it. Because he doesn't beg for attention, people become curious about him. Let other men chase fame. You chase influence. Quiet, lethal, behind-the-scenes influence. The king doesn't fight in the dirt for applause. He sits in silence while others carry out his will. That's the level you aim for. Step 11. Make loyalty a privilege, not a right. Most men hand out loyalty like candy. They stay loyal to people who don't respect them, to women who drain them, to friends who undermine them, to jobs that don't value them. And why? Because they're afraid to be alone. Because they think being loyal makes them a good man. Let me set the record straight. Loyalty is earned, not begged for, not given blindly, not passed out like a participation trophy. Your loyalty should be rare, exclusive, heavy. When people have it, they should feel honored. They should fear losing it. You want people to respect you? Stop giving them access just because they were around in the past. Loyalty is not about history. It's about merit, present behavior, real alignment. When someone shows they're weak, disloyal, or disrespectful, you remove them. Not slowly. Not after one more chance. You end it. Because your loyalty is a blade. It protects, but it also cuts. People need to understand that keeping your respect takes work. It takes integrity. It takes consistency. They don't get to keep you just because you've known them for years. They keep you because they rise to your level. And if they don't, they get left behind. That's not cruelty. That's how you stay powerful. By surrounding yourself with those who make you sharper, not softer. Step 12. Train for mastery, not popularity. Let's talk about your time, your energy, your focus. Most men waste their life chasing attention, trying to go viral, trying to get likes, trying to impress people who don't even know who they are. And what does it get them? Nothing. Emptiness. A dopamine high followed by a crash. Fake status, temporary applause. But the man who trains for mastery, he becomes a weapon. Every hour you put into developing a skill, refining your craft, hardening your body, expanding your mind, that's another brick in the fortress of your power. Mastery makes you magnetic. You don't need to beg for attention because your presence demands it. You don't need to shout because your results echo. When you walk into a room as a master, people feel it. They don't care how many followers you have, they care that you're disciplined, that you're sharp, that you've built something they can't ignore. You want to be feared? Become a master at something that matters. Master your business, master your body, master your leadership, master your purpose. And let everyone else waste their life chasing popularity while you quietly become unstoppable. Step 13. Cut emotion from decision making. You want to rise? You want control? Then you need to rip emotion out of your decision-making process. Not because emotions are bad, but because emotions make you weak when they lead the way. The average man acts based on how he feels. He's angry, so he reacts. He's scared, so he hesitates. He's flattered, so he lowers his standards. And then he wonders why his life is a mess. You cannot afford that, not if you're aiming for power. Your choices must be cold, calculated, strategic. Not emotional, not reactive, not impulsive. If something threatens your values, it gets cut. If a relationship weakens your focus, it ends. If a decision benefits your long-term mission, you make it, even if it hurts in the short term. This is how high-level men operate. They don't move based on mood. They move based on mission. When people see that you make decisions with clarity, not emotion, they start to respect you. When they realize they can't guilt-trip you, manipulate you, or distract you, they start to fear losing your favor. Because you're not like the rest. You're not soft, you're not swayed, you're not moved by pressure. You're guided by principle, and you never hesitate to do what's necessary. Step 14. Lead without apology. A true leader does not ask for permission. He does not look around the room hoping someone agrees with him. He sees the path, and he moves. Others follow, or they get left behind. Weak men are desperate for group approval. They want consensus before they act. They want everyone to like their choices. Forget that. Leadership is not about popularity. It's about clarity. It's about movement. It's about standing in the fire while others panic. If you want to be feared, you must lead from the front and never apologize for it. That means taking responsibility. That means making tough calls. That means being the one who says what others are too scared to admit. Most people are waiting for someone to give them direction. Be that man. And when you lead, do not flinch. If people complain, let them. If they leave, let them. If they slander you, let them bark. You are not in this world to be liked. You are here to build, to conquer, to lead. When people see that your confidence is unshakable, even when you're alone, they respect you. When they see that your vision is so strong you don't care who disagrees, they follow. Or they fear you. Either works. Step 15. Eliminate neediness from your soul. Neediness is poison. It is the silent killer of strength, dignity, and influence. Neediness is what makes men chase validation. It's what makes them afraid to say no. It's what keeps them in dead-end jobs, draining relationships, and weak friendships. And worst of all, neediness is what makes men settle. You will never be feared if you need anything from anyone. Not their attention, not their praise, not their approval, not their love. You must become self-sufficient, internally anchored, full on your own. This is what terrifies people. When they know you can walk away from any deal, any group, any person, they lose control over you. When you don't need their affection or acceptance, they can't manipulate you. Cut the need. You don't need to be understood. You don't need to be liked. You don't need their hand on your shoulder telling you that you did a good job. You need results. You need respect. You need purpose. Everything else is optional. The less you need, the more power you hold. Step 16. Become the man who can be alone. Solitude is the forge of power. Most men are terrified of it. They surround themselves with noise, with people, with distractions, because being alone forces them to face themselves. But if you want to become dangerous, you must embrace the silence. You must be able to sit alone with your thoughts and not flinch, because that's where transformation happens. That's where clarity comes. That's where men sharpen their identity and build their vision. Weak men depend on others for direction. They fear their own thoughts. They chase stimulation to escape their emptiness. You become comfortable in solitude. You use it to train, to plan, to reflect, to fortify. And here's the twist. When people see that you don't need a crowd, that you're powerful even when you're alone, they start to follow. Not because you need them, but because they need you. You don't beg to be included. You don't ask for a seat. You sit by yourself and build something worth following. The man who stands alone by choice is the man others dare not oppose. Step 17. Speak last. Observe first. This is a tactical advantage that most men completely miss. In any group, the first to speak is usually the weakest. He's trying to impress, trying to lead with noise, trying to prove his value through words. But the real power moves in silence. You want to dominate socially. Watch more than you speak. Let others expose themselves. Let them brag. Let them reveal their weaknesses, their egos, their insecurities. Then, when the time is right, you speak with precision. No filler, no emotion, just facts, insight, direction. This forces people to pay attention. When you rarely speak, your voice gains weight. You don't need to compete for attention. You don't need to raise your volume. You let others waste their energy while you gather data and deliver truth like a blade. And if someone tries to dominate you with noise, let them. Because nothing is more unnerving than a man who doesn't flinch while everyone else is performing. Your silence is power. Your observation is a weapon. Use them both, and you'll control the room without lifting a finger. Step 18. Be willing to burn the bridge. This is where most people stop. Right here. This is where 95% of men fail. They build everything, the posture, the mindset, the power, and then when it comes time to take a stand that might cost them something, they fold. Because deep down, they still want to be liked. They still want to keep the peace. But peace without respect is slavery. You want to be feared. You need to show the world that you are willing to walk away from anything that violates your values. And not just walk away, but burn the bridge behind you so there's no going back. When people know you have that fire in you, they think twice before crossing you. They know you're not bluffing. They know there's no second chance, no forgiveness for betrayal. And you don't do it for drama. You do it to preserve your standard. There is power in being seen as the man who doesn't cling, who doesn't beg, who doesn't compromise. Burn the bridge when it needs to burn. Let people feel the heat of your conviction. Let them know you're not afraid to lose them if it means keeping your self-respect. That's fear. That's power. That's what separates you from the cowards who sell their soul for acceptance. Step 19. Develop the aura of finality. There's a type of man who walks into a room and you can feel that if he speaks, something will happen. He doesn't need to convince. He doesn't need to push. His presence is the message. That is the aura of finality. It's the energy that says, this is not up for discussion. It's not arrogance. It's not aggression. It's absolute certainty. It's the spiritual armor of a man who knows who he is, what he stands for, and what he's not willing to tolerate. You don't get this aura by talking about it. You earn it through years of discipline. You earn it by making hard choices when no one is watching. You earn it by refusing to be anything less than excellent. Once you have it, everything changes. People ask before they act around you. They measure their words. They step carefully. Not out of fear of harm, but out of fear of losing access to a man who does not bend. The aura of finality turns you into a pillar, immovable, solid, respected. This is not something you pretend to have. It must be forged, through pain, through solitude, through relentless self-mastery. And when you walk into a room with that energy, you no longer need to demand respect. You are respect. Step 20. Leave an impact that haunts their memory. The final rule of power is this: do not aim to be liked. Do not aim to be remembered as the nice guy. Aim to be unforgettable. You want them to remember your silence, your standards, your presence, the weight of your words, the way you carried yourself without ever asking for attention. You want them to feel your absence when you're gone, to measure other men against you and realize no one else comes close. You don't achieve that by being lovable. You achieve it by being dangerous with discipline, ruthless with your time, uncompromising with your values. You want them to say, I don't know what it was about him, but I couldn't stop thinking about what he said. I couldn't ignore the way he moved. I still hear his voice in the back of my head when I face pressure. That is legacy. That is real power. And you don't get it by playing the role of the charming, agreeable clown who makes everyone feel good. You get it by standing tall, standing alone, and refusing to lower your standards for anyone. You want to change the room? Be the man they never forget. Not for your smile, but for your strength. Closing statement. The final call. Most men will watch this and nod their heads. They'll feel the fire in their chest. They'll say, hell yes, this is what I needed. Then they'll close the tab, scroll to the next video, and go right back to being the same soft, forgettable, approval-seeking version of themselves they've always been. But not you. You didn't sit through this just to feel inspired. You sat through this because deep down, you know you were meant to lead, to dominate, to be feared for the right reasons. This is your moment. You can either go back to being agreeable, apologetic, and invisible, or you can take everything you just heard and burn it into your bloodstream. Stand like a man, speak like a man, move like a man. Be the one they respect when you enter and fear when you leave. Because in this world, love is optional, but respect is survival. And if you want real power, you better stop trying to be liked and start building the version of yourself that no one dares to disrespect. Be feared, be respected, be undeniable. If you felt this message in your chest, if something inside of you shifted today, then do one thing right now. Build yourself like your life depends on it. Because it does. And when you're done building, come back here. We'll keep sharpening the blade. By the way, if you're serious about leveling up your life and your mindset, Do not forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Until next time, stay sharp, stay ruthless, stay feared.